Before the introduction of steam engines and electricity, the only source of power that humankind had the ability to control was wind. It not only powered our sailing ships, but also hundreds of thousands of windmills that were and still are used all around the world. Windmills enabled our ancestors to transform the power of wind into a physical force that could be used for the basic jobs of grinding grains and moving water to many more complex industrial and agricultural needs. Modern windmills, as we know them today, first appeared in England in the 12th century. Some are still preserved today, like the 19th century six-sailed mill in the northeast Lincolnshire village of Waltham.
There's been a mill on this site since 1666. Of course, they sort of burnt down, fell down, blew down. This particular one we've got behind us was the last of the ones to be built, and it was built in 1881, so it's its 140th birthday this year.
We are relatively unique. We're one of the only six-sail working mills within the country, with it being one of the last of the line commercially built mills. If you like, that's the pinnacle of milling technology. So when you go in there, if you like, that's the most up-to-date sort of windmill that you're going to get. Our flour is stone ground with what they call a French burr stone, and it's the best milling stone in the world. And we have a set here that work brilliantly once the maintenance project is complete.
The bricks they used to build this mill were from a local brickworks in Waltham, and they weren't particularly good bricks, so hence 50, 60 years on the bricks are all beginning to crumble, and that's why we've ended up having to tar the front of the mill to protect the brickwork. And the danger of that is once you tar it, now you've got a maintenance problem. Every 5 years you've got to re-tar it. It fell into a pretty bad state of repair. Obviously these things cost a lot of money. Our previous chairman, Dr. Pip Carter, took the job on in again the late 50s, early 60s, and he's done an absolutely fantastic job. And in the year 2000 we had a big lottery grant, and we got a whole new cap and sails and repairs done. And that was all the hard work that was done by the volunteers led by Dr. Carter.
Our plans now is obviously to get the mill into a fully operational state again, so we can mill and sell flour. And we want to welcome a lot of people, new members to the site, and get them to have a look around the mill. It's amazing on how many people are local that have never been. So we'd just like them to come up and have a look and enjoy the facility.
We've been here many, many times before. My parents have a chalet at Fitties, so it's almost like a second home for us, really.
Have you been in the windmill today? Yeah. And did you like it?
Yeah.
I think it's just the history of it all, how old it is and how beautiful it is.
I live in the village, so it means a lot to me, the mill. I'd been a miller 15 years.
8 years I've been doing it now. Yeah, 2 years apprenticeship, and then and now I'm teaching these new lads how to carry on. So I can see the mill from my house, so I didn't want to see the sails stop turning.
You know, when you walk in there, I've been used to working in the oil industry, and some of the engineering that I've seen over my working life, there's nothing new. You know, it was all in there, all the things that goes on in the mill, you can see in modern engineering. You know, nothing's new. But it's just important to keep things like this for all the youngsters and future generations. So.
We're trustees of the Waltham Windmill, so we're here today to have a look at some of the work that's been carried out over the past couple of months. We're very lucky to have it in our village, so I think it's incredibly important to keep it maintained.
Oh, I think it's very important because it's part of our heritage, isn't it?
We haven't got many local historical places, have we, really? Yeah, you've got to look after them.
Our job now, all of us, is to keep it there.
Our plans now is obviously to get the mill into a fully operational state again, so we can mill and sell flour. And we want to welcome a lot of people, new members to the site.
The Waltham Windmill Preservation Society is dedicated to maintaining the workings of the mill and occasionally grinds best quality grain to produce the finest flour.
We're looking at people to join the Preservation Society. It's free membership to the mill all year round.
Please If you can, join. It's very easy, it's on the website.
All I want to do is get the mill up and running again, and having the people go in whilst it's shaking and rattling and moving. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
As the power of wind once again plays a critical role in the future of humankind, North East Lincolnshire is at the forefront of the battle against climate change as a centre for the wind turbine industry. Markets have existed for as long as humans have engaged in trade. The earliest bazaars are believed to have originated in Persia, from where they spread to the rest of the Middle East and Europe. Zoning policies confined trading to particular parts of cities from around 3000 BC, creating conditions necessary for the emergence of the bazaar or market. In Europe, informal and regulated markets gradually made way for a system of formal chartered markets from the 12th century. Throughout the medieval period, increased regulation of market practices, especially in weights and measures, gave consumers confidence in the quality of market goods and the fairness of prices. Across the boroughs of England, a network of chartered markets sprang up between the 12th and 16th centuries, giving consumers reasonable choice in the markets they preferred to patronise. Beach markets, which were known in northwestern Europe during the Viking period, were primarily associated with the sale of fish. Given the Viking heritage and fishing tradition of Grimsby, it is likely that this was the first market to be established in the town. Records show there has been a market in Grimsby since before the end of the 12th century, and during the period of the town's decline, they became the mainstay of economic life in the borough. Some have disappeared, some continue today. What is now the Top Town Market began life near the Market Cross to the east of St James Church and received its first royal charter from King James I in the year 1604. A corn exchange was opened in 1857, housing some market traders, and a roof extension was later erected to protect the outside stalls. The local council took over the running of the market in 1853, and after occupying various locations in the centre of town, it moved to its present building in 1976. A photography display depicts the market at various times in its life and at various sites dating back to before the 1900s. Cattle markets have been held in Grimsby since medieval times. The Corporation Cattle Market, opened in 1931 to replace the one on the site that is now the bus station, was situated at the meeting of Cromwell Road, Boulevard Avenue and Yarborough Road, where the Market Hotel now stands. The market closed in the late 1950s. Freeman Street Market had its official opening in September 1873, when corporation officials declared the market to be open and free to all comers. The corporation's authority was challenged by the freemen of Grimsby, as they claimed the land as their birthright. The challenge was upheld and the market remains in their ownership today. In 1958 it was decided to provide the market with a permanent cover. Although the new roof protected both stallholders and shoppers from the elements, many felt that the old atmosphere of Freeman Street Market had somehow been lost. The biggest transformation took place in 2014 when the Market Hall was completely refurbished to house both stallholders and local businesses in the Business and Digital Hub. Today, the market remains a social hub for the local community, hosting family-friendly events throughout the year, including craft fairs, dance clubs, theatre groups and the popular Great Grimsby Food Fight. Grimsby is of course famous for its fish, and the early beach markets of Viking times developed over the centuries into a more permanent fish market alongside the Grimsby fish docks and the processing plants of the mysterious Casbah. The importance of the town as a major centre for the fishing industry was fully recognised when the new £50 million Grimsby Fish Market was opened in 1996. A £1.2 million upgrade in 2012 saw the introduction of new temperature control and hygiene systems, maintaining its status as one of the most important fish markets in Europe. Its daily auction sells fish bought in by British and foreign vessels, as well as overland fish from Faroe, Scotland, Ireland and other British ports. Cleethorpes also has a long history of markets. The latest traditional outdoor market to be held in the ancient marketplace was established in 1998. Famous for its flower and plant displays, the market is open every Wednesday and Saturday. Cleethorpes Wonderland, with its funfair, fairground stalls, rides and a roller coaster on the beach, provided an ideal venue for a popular Sunday market. At the height of its popularity in the 1980s, it hosted up to 300 stalls. In 2005, the original owner, Dudley Bowers, sold the site to Town and Country Markets. In recent years, the site has been used as a go-kart track, nerve force centre and a venue for concerts and wrestling shows. The market tradition continues today with a seafront indoor market which is open on Saturdays and Sundays. Markets continue to play an important role in the economy and community of North East Lincolnshire. They provide a social hub where people come together in these important public spaces to access healthy food, enjoy local crafts and culture, and honour historical legacies that provide a sense of place and identity, giving value to their lives and that of their communities. The history of allotments in England can be traced back over 1,000 years, when the Saxons would clear woodlands to form a field that would then be held in common. But the system we recognise today has its roots in the 19th century, when land was given over to the labouring poor for the provision of food growing. This measure was desperately needed thanks to the rapid industrialisation of the country and the lack of a welfare state. In 1908, the Small Holdings and Allotments Act came into force, placing a duty on local authorities to provide sufficient allotments according to demand. However, it wasn't until the end of the First World War that land was made available to all, primarily as a way of assisting returning servicemen. During the Second World War, food rationing caused an upsurge in allotment numbers, reaching a peak of 1.4 million in 1946.
There's been allotments since way back before the Second World War. Quite a lot of the land locally that currently has housing on it was allotment land at one time.
In 1947 I come up and I was 14 and I came up with my father to help my granddad. Grandfather had to give up and so we took it over and that's how it evolved. I carried on from there. I got interested.
Popularity slowly declined during the second half of the 20th century until only 300,000 allotments were in use in England. But the move towards healthier lifestyles in the new century is now reversing the trend and numbers are steadily increasing again.
Since around about 2005 there's been a growth in interest in allotments. When I came back here in 2005, I would say that probably a quarter to a third of this site was not being utilised. It is all fully utilised now.
Here in North East Lincolnshire, the local council that manages 1,800 plots over 8 sites reported a recent surge in interest as people look to grow their own food and engage in healthy activities during the COVID crisis.
Especially under lockdown, there's been a higher uptake of using our allotments.
Once COVID came in, people were actually looking for, I think, partly something to do, but also they wanted to grow their own.
We've got 172 allotments on the site at the moment. I know they've been here many, many years. One of our tenants has actually been here, I believe, about 40 years. And what's really, really lovely are the amount of families, younger families, that have actually come on site, people that we perhaps wouldn't have expected.
Within 5 minutes, we'd walked in, spoke to Bill, signed on the dotted line, and we had an allotment.
We've always had an interest.
I mean, we're still learning, aren't we?
Yeah.
Some things haven't.
It's a big learning curve.
Yeah. I mean, going into my third year. My older daughter found these allotments and I came and had a look and got one. And then my youngest daughter liked it so much down here, she got the one next to me.
I come down when you're at work, don't I, in the summer?
Yeah.
Because produce is coming off like don't know what.
Cabbages have been the
great.
big success. Leeks.
We want strawberries.
Well, a lot of veg.
Apple trees. Yeah.
Onions, beetroot.
Brussels sprouts. That's what I've been ordered. Nanny, make sure you've got Brussels sprouts.
And then all the grandkids love it down here. They love coming down, digging and planting and picking things. And
they're just cheap labour.
It's nice to see the fruits of your labour come together.
Well, being out in the fresh air, it's nice to grow your own food.
Plenty of sunshine, plenty of air. Exercise.
It's been somewhere they could come to get out of the house and take some exercise and spend a bit more time outside, particularly during the first lockdown. I think it's been quite a benefit for a lot of people.
Well, the community spirit is marvellous on here. Stuart, my husband, is the site rep. And so any new people we always normally take round to show them the site, and as we go along we just introduce them to people going round. We always have a spring fair, an autumn fair, we always have a bonfire party as well where we can get rid of quite a lot of wood.
In late summer, the community of the West Marsh allotments came together for a grand summer fair.
Delighted to be here this afternoon with the West Marsh Allotment Association. It's their annual summer fair.
Do you know, it's been an absolutely brilliant day. We was a bit concerned at first because the weather was supposed to be a bit unsettled, but it's turned out to be absolutely brilliant.
It's just such a pleasure to see people again.
Yeah, it's been lovely, really nice event, really good for the families.
It's been absolutely fantastic. I think they've done a good job.
So this is the first sort of big gathering we've had, big event we've had since before COVID. So I think the kids, it's all about the kids and the families getting together.
Primarily, it's really fantastic for the community, which is really my first thought when I came on here this morning. I was bowled over by the hard work that everybody does and the community spirit that I've sort of just come into, and the welcome I got really. And I can see already there's the friendships involved, you know, and that's really, really good for after lockdown, people's mental spirit as well. I've just been talking to a lovely lady. She said, I've had my allotment a year, and she said it's changed my life. So that sort of comment, I think it's quite overwhelming, and you can see the passion here as well.
For over 1,000 years, allotments have played an important role in the fabric of local communities, bringing people together to enjoy a healthy lifestyle, homegrown produce and good company. Tattooing has been practiced across the globe for at least 7,000 years. Figurines recovered from tombs in Japan, dating back to 5000 BC, had their faces painted or engraved to represent tattoo marks. The oldest known human to have tattoo marks on his mummified skin is a Bronze Age man dating back to 3300 BC. Otzi the Iceman had 57 tattoos, probably made using soot. Many were located around acupuncture points, suggesting tattooing was used as an ancient healing technique for diseases such as arthritis. Other early examples of tattoos can be traced back to ancient Egypt, from mummified bodies dating back to around 2000 BC. Since then, the tattoo culture has grown and flourished across the globe, having different associations in different cultures. Tattoos are often shunned in Japan due to their association with criminals who for 200 years from 1600 were branded. This branding developed into the elaborate tattoos of the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia, becoming a badge of honour. Like Japan, China also has a long history of tattooing associated with criminal groups, but is now a form of self-expression for the young. For the Maori people of New Zealand, tattooing was a sacred ritual starting at puberty. Tattoos made warriors more attractive to women and more fearsome to opponents. Africa has one of the oldest associations with tattooing, their complexity often reflecting the status of the person in society. In India, tattooing was sometimes worn instead of jewellery or to ward off evil spirits. Headhunters in the northeast recorded their gruesome practice with tattoos on their faces. In modern India, tattoos reflect the Western practice of tattoos as a fashion statement. American native tribes displayed tattoos to celebrate achievements in life and in warfare. In modern America, tattooing, once seen as a practice of misfits, sailors and bikers, is now common amongst the young as a form of self-expression. As far back as the 5th century AD, it is thought that many of the Anglo-Saxon kings and their bands of warriors, who were to lay the very foundation stones of what is now the English nation, were heavily tattooed. The modern practice of tattooing in England is thought to have started around 1700, when Captain James Cook and his crew returned from the Polynesian islands, where the practice was widespread. Many of the sailors' tattoo designs told of their travels and their service. A turtle indicated crossing the equator, an anchor an Atlantic journey, and a dragon told of service at the Chinese naval station. Some of the seamen even learned the process of Polynesian tattooing for themselves and began to give each other tattoos on their long journeys. Some retired from the sea and began the first tattoo parlours in European ports of call. For fishermen, tattoos were lucky charms to ensure safe return from sea and a bountiful catch. The East Coast port of Grimsby has a long association with seafaring tattoos. In recent decades, Kiss Me Quick tattoos have been popular with visitors in the neighbouring resort of Cleethorpes. Some remain a treasured memory of a day at the seaside, others an impetuous act they later regret. Tattoos continue to be part of our society today, sometimes signifying belonging, sometimes daring to be different, but always a very personal and permanent means of artistic self-expression.
The Empire Theatre is the sort of hidden jewel in the crown of Cleethorpes' entertainment scene. Most people know about the history of the pavilion on the pier, which is now Papa's Fish Restaurant. But a lot of people have forgotten that there was an 800-seat theatre just across the road on Alexandra Road that opened in 1896 and ran as a fully functioning theatre through till 1960.
The theatre provided year-round entertainment from visiting repertory companies, talent contests and popular summer shows. During its heyday in the late 1940s and 50s, the Empire attracted some of the country's greatest singers, comedians and entertainers.
We saw some huge names of British showbiz there. People like Bruce Forsyth, Harry Seacombe, Tommy Cooper, Larry Grayson, many of them got their early start there. Julie Andrews, as a teenager, was alleged to have sung on stage there when her parents were in the venue. And actress Michelle Dotrice, who played Frank Spencer's wife in Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, made her stage debut at 3 weeks old, as her parents were performing in rep at the theatre. And the show required a baby, so obviously Michelle's mum took her on stage, and at 3 weeks old she made her debut.
During the late 50s, audiences began to dwindle and the final curtain fell in 1960. The site continued to provide attractions for both locals and visitors, first as a bingo hall and later responding to the changing taste for entertainment.
It's gone through a number of incarnations since then. Most people today will recognise it as a Laser Quest amusement arcade. It's managed to sort of survive as a sort of place of entertainment through those years, but sadly no longer a place of live entertainment.
Recent work by the current owners has revealed some of the original features that hold so many nostalgic memories for local families and summer visitors from the nearby mining and steel towns of South Yorkshire.
I went on a visit a few years ago through the Heritage Open Day project. There's quite a lot of original features still there that are sort of hidden away from public view. You kind of have to go behind the scenes to have a look round. But there's a lot to be seen still. We've still got the proscenium arch, for example, and the balcony that would have gone round from the circle. And the changing rooms still exist, though they're pretty much inaccessible now because they're down in a basement in the theatre.
It is hoped to continue to reveal and restore more of the theatre's hidden secrets if funding allows.
There is some sort of murmuring locally that it would be nice to try and look for opportunities to bring it back into some sort of public use as a performance venue, and that would be, at this stage, would be my ideal sort of dream for the theatre.
The theatrical heritage of the Empire Theatre continues today with local productions and touring shows at the long-established Caxton Theatre, popular entertainment at the nearby Grimsby Auditorium, and opportunities for local writers and performers at the Breakwater Theatre.
My own company, Breakwater Theatre, we are a professional theatre company. We bring actors in, we stage new work, we're a new writing theatre company, but we don't have a venue. And so we decided early on that our mission, if you like, was to take theatre to the audience rather than expect an audience to come to a theatre. It works really surprisingly well because it's quite an unexpected sort of response from the audience, who come in slightly hesitant and then sort of just get lost within the work that they're watching and then go away singing its praises. So we've enjoyed it, and we've been going for 10 years this year, so it must work to some degree.